Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 2011 Infiniti G37s Limited Edition. Up front is a 3.7 liter V6, and down below is a 7-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this Infiniti G37 for two reasons. First of all, it's always good to be back in an Infiniti G product. This is one of my favorite products from Infiniti that they've ever created. I like it a lot, and I'll share with you why. But the second reason is the fact that this is the limited edition. And while it might not be the craziest package available, they only made 350 of these worldwide. And so what you got was the Malbec paint, Monaco red interior, and it came standard with the sport package. Got some little attributes here and there that we'll talk about, but I'm excited to be driving a special Infiniti G37. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 3.7 liter V6 under the hood. Well, A, that's where the car got its name. The G37 is for the 3.7 liter. When they were doing a 3.5 liter, it was the G35. I love this powertrain. Makes about 328 horsepower, naturally aspirated, no help from turbos, no complexity of turbos. Some of these engines do have oil issues here and there, but this one up at 160,000 miles doesn't, and that's very nice to see. I've always enjoyed the low-end torque that the G cars have given you since they switched to V6 in the mid-2000s. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 7-speed automatic transmission. In the era, you could find these in manual. However, the limited edition was only available with the automatic, and it shifts relatively quick enough. It does the job, it's comfortable, and I like it. Last but not least, this particular G37 is rear-wheel drive. However, you can find them in all-wheel drive. That would have an X after the name, so it would be a G37X as opposed to the G37S. How does it feel to drive the G37S Limited Edition? It's great. It doesn't drive any different than the standard G37. Has the same suspension. It does get the sport brakes, so it actually has 4-piston front Akebono brakes and dual piston rears, but it drives in the same way. It's really just going to be a color combo that's different. But that being said, I've always thought that the G37 drives nice. Visibility is decent. Throttle response is great. Lovely to see. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges and a little screen. Off to the left is my coolant temperature and tachometer, and off to the right is the speedometer and fuel. With that little screen in the center, not very colorful, not very high tech, but it worked in the era. On the steering wheel, on the left, we do have our source and volume, as well as skip track and phone options. And off to the right, we do have our cruise control. Now, you could option sonar cruise control, which is basically adaptive cruise. And so that would have gotten an additional button down below this on-off switch. That's why it's kind of blanked out. But they're very faulty, and it wasn't a very good system. So finding one on the used market, if it has it, cool. If not, you're not really missing anything. We also have paddle shifters around the back for the sport package as well. Not exclusive to the limited edition, but for the sport. And off to the left, we do have a climate vent. We have our traction control on and off, trunk and parking sensors on and off, as well as an area to put your key. And moving out of the door, we have 2 levels of memory seats, power mirrors, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we do get the infotainment display. Now, this does have Bluetooth audio, so you can Bluetooth to your 2025 cell phone, and you can listen to music off of it. This also enables you to buy one of those like Amazon Apple CarPlay dongle things if you really want to. But there's a lot of coolness in here, mainly the fact that the weather readings still work here in the G37 14 years later. 9 out of 10 times these systems don't work after 3 or 4 years after the vehicle's original sale. But this still works here. So here's the weather of my surroundings during the time of filming this video. We also do get a backup camera. Very nice to see for 2011. It wasn't unheard of in the luxury category. However, as I mentioned, in a lot of my videos. Backup cameras weren't legally required in vehicles until 2018, so any car that had one, this was a nice privilege to have at the time. Then we do have some physical buttons for the radio. So if you don't want to use the touchscreen, which it is nice that it is a touchscreen, but if you don't want to use the touchscreen, you can use these button switches and dials. Very, very nice to see all of that. Then we do have some even more buttons down below for volume, scan, seek, category, tune, things like that. We have 6 favorite buttons as well, but we do get the Infiniti analog clock, and I love this. This is one of my favorite parts of Infiniti interiors of this era. I love how they go the extra mile to give you something premium feeling. We do get a CD player and our climate controls. We do get dual zone climate here in the G37. Love to see that. Definitely a luxury feature that still isn't even standard on today's cars. 12-volt outlet and opening cubby, shifter in the center, and then we have our heated seat dials. Very, very nice to see that. Then we do have openable cup holders, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the G37s limited edition. And unfortunately, like the other G37s, it doesn't pass because it does have this little helper, and when that's down, it's way too wide open and the bottle won't stay up, but when it's up, it won't allow the bottle to fit. So it's kind of a worst of both worlds situation. However, you can't blame it, and I'm sure it accommodates many cups and bottles, just not the big friggin' one. Then we do get a center console with the 12-volt outlet in it, and then we have the seats. The seats are finished in Monaco red, and I absolutely love it. These are very, very rare seats. They did them on a couple of special editions. In 2010, they did an anniversary edition, and that also got the Monaco red seats, but that was pretty rare. This was pretty rare, so not often do you get to see red seats in an Infiniti product, and this vehicle has them. However, speaking of seats, we even have red back seats, so let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2011 limited edition Infiniti G37, and a couple of things to note. First of all, rear seat room isn't really great. The Gs never have been great, although I did several road trips in my friend's G37 back in the day, and it's fine. You know, if the driver's nice and moves up, it can all be adjusted. It all comes out in the wash. What I do want to talk about is the fact that we still get the Monaco red seats back here. A lot of limited edition vehicles and a lot of vehicles that have special front seats often don't do the back seats. This carries on through the back. Absolutely love to see that. I still get to feel special, even though I'm not driving the vehicle. Headroom's good though. We do have a center console as well, which will open up through a pass-through into the trunk that we'll talk about in a second. 2 cup holders in here. That's pretty much it. So pretty standard back seat besides the cool red seats, which is definitely a nice touch. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks with this lovely paint. Boy, do I hope it's coming across on camera, the purple. If it doesn't, I'll boost the crap out of the saturation until you see it. Does that look good? Look good to you guys? Okay, talking about the trunk. Now we do have a trunk release button here on the key fob. Something to note, the Sports did get this spoiler around the back. However, it is super flimsily put on. So we're gonna lift it up from here. Once we are in the trunk, nothing too crazy to see back here. However, it does have a good amount of space. You get this really nice Infiniti floor mat as well, and this is the original owner's manual, which would come basically Velcro to the wall. So very, very cool to see all of the original literature. Other than that, pretty standard trunk for a sedan, but very cool to see in the limited edition. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and obviously the main thing is the fact that it has the purple color. So I'm going to butcher the name of it. Malbec, M-A-L-B-E-C, which is basically a very, very, very dark purple. So Malbec is a kind of grape. So this is like a super dark grape, which is really, really cool to see. And again, this was for the limited edition. You couldn't get it on other trim levels or other ways. So this was a very special paint color. They did it a couple other times, again, for other limited edition things. But this is definitely something you don't see every day. Although you may see a million G35s and G37s on the street, downtown, or in takeover videos, probably won't see a Malbec black one. and that is very cool. Now, you could take this paint color two different ways. When the light strikes it, it does look amazing. However, every other day of the week, it is going to look like just a regular black car. I personally like this because it feels like the car kind of has a secret, and you only get to see it every once in a while. It's this side of the personality that you kind of have to work for. And you could park it and no one's gonna bat an eye, but then if you look right, you know, it's like a secret riddle. If you look at the paint correctly on the 4th of October in a nice sunset haze, it'll tell you where the Declaration of Independence is. That's how this paint feels. I mean, that's cool. Overall, I think the styling of the G37 is fine. I'm a little bit more keen towards the G35, just personally, but I don't think the G37 is bad in any way. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving another G37? Well, I wouldn't have said yes to this review if I didn't love it. I knew that this was going to be a great driving experience, so it wasn't anything outside of the realm of what I thought could happen. I enjoy this car quite a bit, and I love seeing the limited edition. I do think the red seats and purple paint are really, really something special, and I think would hold a somewhat premium on the secondhand market. Maybe I would pay $1,000 extra for this in today's market. And so the limited edition, which not many people even knew existed, apparently they only made 350 worldwide, and this is the only relic I could find of what the limited edition was about. The owner actually sent this to me, and he said it was from some dealer in Arizona or something like that. It's incredibly low quality, but here it is. This is what I'm working with here today. I think it's cool. I like when companies do this. It's not the craziest limited edition I've ever seen or heard of, but I do think it's good. They did a good color with a good interior and a good sport package. Overall, it's a win. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Sal for letting me borrow his G37 limited edition for today's video. Sal has been absolutely wonderful to work with. Super down to earth. He walked me through the whole car. Very knowledgeable about this and just so easy to work with. That's not always a given in my industry, but Sal has made today a very good filming day, and I appreciate that a lot. But I appreciate you guys watching the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.